So in today's video, we're going to explore three main topics. First of all, I'm going to help you understand the 5 primary desires that women have. I'm going to help you understand, I'm going to do deep dive into the psychology of attraction, what women truly want in line with the 5 primary desires. And then I'm going to give you the cheat code, the perfect equation of attraction. And once you understand all those 3 topics, those 3 concepts, it will make click for you of why women want men that don't need them. And I promise you, bro, this is going to be one of the best videos you've ever seen. Now, before I share with you the 5 primary desires that need to be stimulated when you want to attract and keep a woman attracted, I want to explain why it's so important for you to actually trigger them. If you want to make a woman loyal, bro, the easiest way to make someone loyal, whether it is a woman or colleague or whatever, you need to give them what they want, bro. In the context of dating and relationships and love, it's the 5 primary desires that every woman has, bro. It's simple as that. How is that connected to men that don't need women? So first of all, I need you to understand that when I talk about men who don't need women, I talk about men who love women, who respect women, but they don't need them. They are not codependent on them. And this will all make sense, trust me, man. Coming back to the 5 primary desires of women. Now, that mindset, that paradigm shift is so important because if you are not embracing suffering, if you are not embracing pain, you will never make it to anything substantial, bro. And even worse, you will not be able to stimulate your 5 primary desires. Now, enough with the yapping, let me share with you the 5 primary desires. So primary desire number 1 is physical safety. Every woman wants and needs to be safe around a man. This is a primal desire. It's in her primal brain. Yeah, so also ditch what you think about what a woman wants in modern societal terms. Think about what would make her feel safe in the caveman days terms. In terms of physical safety, how can you convey strength? I mean, it's quite obvious, but I want to state the obvious. Like, be fit, look strong. Hit the gym, have wide shoulders, try to get big arms, get big in the gym. You don't have to become a natural bodybuilder or a bodybuilder per se, but at least look like someone who's hitting the gym and who's exercising regularly. Now, if you have spaghetti arms, if you have a beer belly, if you cannot even see your own dick because you're so fat, bro, you are not going to look appealing to a woman because you don't respect yourself, you don't respect your health. So why would a high quality woman be attracted to a man who looks unhealthy? So ideally you want to have a body fat percentage of 10 to 12%. Now on top of that, obviously, if you are on top, I would start boxing, MMA, something that teaches you to be physically strong as well. Not only look, but be physically strong. When a woman sees you in good shape and when she sees you even fighting, she subconsciously knows that you will make her feel safe, that you're capable of violence. And that makes her just automatically feel safe. Which leads me back to women want men that don't need them. If you're physically strong, it means that it signals to her, it conveys to her that you do not rely on her physical protection. Imagine you're like a skinny bitch, bro. That means subconsciously she will stop being fully in her feminine energy and she will step into her masculine energy because simply she does not feel fully safe around you. That's why a good physique is so important, man. So I think I've made my fucking point here, bro. Okay? Hit the gym, exercise regularly, get in good shape, be strong, be capable of violence, but control it. Now that leads me to the second primary desire, which is emotional safety. Here's something you need to know about women. While women do care about physical attraction, it is not as important as emotional attraction. In dating, women care more about how you make them feel rather than how you look. That's why women often are with men who are physically maybe less attractive compared to her, but they're emotionally so much more attractive compared to the average Joe who's maybe, or even a shredded guy, because most of the shredded guys are brain dead or they lack the emotional maturity. So what does emotional safety actually mean in the context of dating? You do not shame or judge her as a human being, you simply criticize her actions. Always have in mind that when you criticize a woman because of the magnitude of how she experiences emotions, she will feel it twice as strongly as you do. With a lot of guys that I coach, when I coach men, I can give them tough love, you know? I can tell them, hey, get fucking shit together, do this, do that, yada yada yada. Straight talk. I don't need to sugarcoat. When I talk with Sandra, when I speak with women in general, I need to sugarcoat things a bit because otherwise they will not hear the message. They will be so impacted by the emotional impact. Like, women are so distracted by the magnitude or the emotions carried through the message rather than the words. Whatever you say will be diluted. That's why women often don't make sense in your point of view. You know, last couple of days ago, I had a conversation with Sandra, my girl, about how she felt unsupported in her business. And to me, that didn't make any fucking sense, because I told her, like, I told you what kind of reels to shoot. But then I realized while I was listing out all those facts, and she said, yes, you're right. I realized, yeah, I'm focusing on the logic, I'm focusing on facts. But while in truth, what she was actually saying was, yes, you helped me logically, yes, you helped me with facts, but I didn't feel emotionally supported. That was what she was lacking. And she didn't say that because, yeah, she's a woman. I got her to open up. But how do I get her to open up? By not reacting emotionally, by not reacting negatively, by not losing my temper when she, in my point of view, doesn't make any sense. When I view her through the logical lens that I had on during that conversation with her, I also want you to drop the paradigm of women don't make any sense. They are logical in their emotional way. Men are logical in their logical way. Neither is right or wrong. We're just different. Or if you want to display that you're a man who is non-needy, who doesn't need a woman, that means like you have to remain calm. You have to be capable of understanding her too. Because if you get emotional when a woman shares something with you, your mood is dependent on what she says. I'm not saying that you should be indifferent to it. When Sandra says some like stupid stuff and it pisses me off, or it might even hurt me, I'm not indifferent to that, but I still remain calm. Because I know in that moment, if I would lose my temper, she would experience me losing my temper twice as strongly as I would experience it. And that would jeopardize the relationship, and it would make me look weak. With that being said, let's move on to the third primary desire, which is emotional connection. And that's quite straightforward. Emotional connection means you need to convey that you love her for her soul, not for her looks. This is a common misconception, and this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see most men make, is they compliment a woman on her beauty only. They only like her for her looks, and they only chase her for her looks, because we men are driven, or primarily sexually driven, by visual cues, right? Imagine you're a woman, you're a hot woman, you've got 100 guys in your DMs, and every time you talk to them, all they say, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, you're so special. And all they're saying is, I love you for your physical body, but not for your character. Now granted, there are lots of women who don't even have a fucking character. Why would you give them time of the day? Maybe like bang them once and then leave them, you know, leave them for the streets and leave them for the guys who are attracted to that kind of woman. I'm not, and you shouldn't be either, because most of them are just a headache. There's this, the hotter they are, the crazier they are, because they never had to work on a character, because they got away with so much, because they never got rejected, they never heard a no by guys because guys were so horny to get them in bed. If you truly want to stand out as a non-needy man, a man that doesn't need a woman, love her for her soul, connect to her soul, compliment her on her character, her soul, her energy. On a date, for instance, you say things like, hey, what makes your heart sing? What would be one of your biggest regrets in life? What would you do if you had unlimited money? What would you do if you could never fail? Those are questions that allow her to truly open up to you, to authentically display who she is. And only a few men are capable of doing that, and only a few men are actually capable of holding that deeper conversation. And that's why when you connect to her soul, it makes you stand out. It shows to her that you have a heart, a good heart. Sandra said she fell in love with me on date number 3, or she knew I was different on date number 3, because she said, you have a good heart, you have a soul. I've never experienced that before. Now that for me, that isn't a coincidence. I've heard that a couple of times already, because I've worked on my heart, I've worked on my soul. But that also allows me to connect with a woman on a deeper level. And if you want more from women than just like a quick hookup, you need to develop emotional connection, and that means connecting to her soul. So if you're in a long-term relationship already with your woman, and most likely you will experience a dip in intimacy, that's because you're not emotionally connected anymore. So how can you bring up that intimacy? How can you spike that emotional intimacy with her, or emotional connection? By getting to know her again. I never used to be a big fan of date nights, because I thought like you cannot plan intimacy. But what I came to realize is date nights aren't about sex, they are about connecting emotionally. So Sandra Sandra and I, especially because we're so busy, we have one night a week we go out and we have dinner together, and then we talk about our relationship or business. That's how we connect emotionally. Now, because of the great, amazing man I am, I don't struggle with any intimacy. I actually have to decline it because otherwise I wouldn't have the energy to run my business. But I want to show you, the reason I'm sharing this with you is not because I want to brag, but I just want to show you what's possible when you're the guy who's fully, truly connected to a woman's soul. You can get sex up to 7 times a week. Not even get, you will have sex 7 times a week, bro. If you run a business, I don't recommend it. Now, primary desire number 4 is where a lot of needy men fail. And that's where the men that are non-needy, the men that don't need a woman, absolutely stand up. And that's where the bad boys come into play, and that's where the nice guys just fucking suck. And that is adventures and fantasies. There's one thing that you should take away from today's video, it is women hate to be fucking bored, bro. How do you bore them? When you only play it safe, when you don't have a spine, when you are predictable. If you only focus on safety, emotionally, physically, and emotional connection. You as a man, you need to integrate fantasies and adventure. I'm gonna tell you the story. I was a bartender and I worked in finance in London. The amount of frustrated, sexually frustrated, and horny women that I came across as a bartender who were lusting over us guys behind the bar or waiters was crazy. Why? Because their husbands didn't fulfill their wives' primary desires, and vice versa, by the way. It's not only the men that are at fault here, but it was crazy. And that's when I realized, bro, you cannot get away with just playing it safe and just being the safe nice guy, because it's fucking boring. So you have to make sure that you hit and stimulate her need for fantasies and wild, crazy, kinky stuff. If you don't believe me, ask yourself, why are 50 Shades of Grey, Twilight, and so many other drama, crime, wild, romantic stuff so successful? What do these two have in common? And so many other novels and movies. They all talk about the same thing: wild, kinky, drama, sex. I'm not a big fan of Corn anymore, but I used to watch it obviously myself. The Hub is becoming increasingly popular amongst women, and the search terms are crazy. I can't talk about this openly on YouTube. Trust me, if you think that your search history is naughty, women's are crazier. Now, I'm not making this up. It's open on, you can find this on Google. Just Google the Hub statistics, female searches. Trust me, you're in for a wild ride, man. So how do you as a man stimulate her needs for fantasies and adventure? It's quite simple, bro. In dating and in relationships, it's the same concept. And most of you guys stop actually applying that concept. Here's a powerful quote, bro. Dating never stops. That doesn't mean that when you have a girl, you should start dating other girls. What I'm saying is, when you're in a relationship, never stop dating your girlfriend, your wife. That means stay assertive, stay confident, stay leading, keep flirting, keep teasing her. That's all she needs. And trust me, bro, I'm gonna share with you a couple of tricks, techniques, how you can tease and playfully and how you flirt at the end of the video or later on in the video. Now, the 5th primary desire that a woman has is the need for leadership. Aside from adventure and fantasies, leadership is the one that most men, especially in the States and in Europe, fuck up. That is your raw masculine energy. That is your authentic, assertive self. That is the self that she met when you were not in love with her yet. This is the thing that happens to so many men. When they catch feelings, they turn into this man that doesn't need her, into that man that needs her. They become codependent. And that fucks up the entire frame of the relationship, bro. That's when you stop, I'm not even talking about the basics, holding the doors open and be chivalrous. I can't pronounce that word, but I think you get what I mean, be a gentleman. Those are the basics in terms of leadership. But the other side of leadership is setting healthy boundaries, holding your ground, putting her in her place, passing her shit tests. 90% of men, when they catch feelings, they fail all of this. They become comfortable, they turn into a shadow of themselves, they burden her with their own happiness, and then they wonder why they get divorced. Let me tell you something, bro. She doesn't suddenly leave, bro. She's giving you sign after sign after sign after sign, and you were oblivious to it. She's not complaining about the toilet seat. She's not complaining about the toothbrush. She's not complaining about the trash. She does explicitly, but implicitly, what she's actually saying is, you're a little bitch. You're a little fucking Kevin. I want you to become a Hercules again. I want you to become assertive, the masculine man that you once were that I met. Stop being a little bitch. That's what she's essentially saying. Even on a date, she's gonna tease you a bit, maybe she comes up with silly rules. She's doing that on a date because she's testing you, bro. And you fail all of these tests when you react emotionally or when you give in to her. Because then, like, what she's testing is your masculine frame. And if you're readily available to give up your masculine frame for her, that means you become dependent on her. It means you need her. Now, we've got all the 5 primary desires. So how do you become a non-needy man? It's quite simple, bro. And I want you to hear me out on this following quote. No matter whether you're single or you're in a relationship, I want you to fully grasp this concept now. Women are your mirror and they reveal your deepest insecurities. Why are women your mirror? Women have this superpower to bring up all fears and insecurities that a man has. Why? Because we are wired to seek female approval. That's how biology has wired us, because otherwise we wouldn't be pursuing women. Now, unfortunately, this approval-seeking behavior from men towards women is what makes attraction dating so complicated, because we believe that we need to win her approval to be attractive to her. But actually, I think this entire approval-seeking behavior that nature has instilled in us is just a massive shit test by nature. That's the ultimate cheat code to attraction. I'm going to quickly teach you now how that all works and how that all links. So inner game is essentially just your self-image. Your self-image is the foundation of how well you'll be able to stand up for yourself, how confident you are in being able to flirt and tease, and how much you respect yourself. By the way, bro, I have a quick question for you. How many hours of YouTube have you watched and nothing has changed in your dating life? How much more time do you want to let pass by? How much more time do you want to waste until you finally take action? Now, most men don't take action because they don't have anyone believing in them. They don't take action because they don't have the right system. They don't have the right guidance. They don't have the right structure. Now, if you're the kind of guy that knows what he wants, but is not putting in the action right now because he lacks the guidance, he lacks the systems, he lacks the skills, then bro, why don't you work with me? I've helped hundreds of men attract high quality women, attract high quality relationships, and also rebuild themselves as a man after divorce, after a tough breakup. Now, if you're going through something similar and you want to finally become your authentic self and attract high quality relationships, then just work with me, bro. So what I suggest, click the link in the description below, book a call with me if I can help you and if you want to work together. That call is not going to cost you anything other than your time. Trust me, you'll get something out of this. Anyways, let's go back to self-image. Self-image is a result of your self-respect, your self-belief. Your self-image is a result of your self-belief, your self-respect, your self-confidence, your self-responsibility, and so many other things, but I don't want to draw this out. The reason why you don't have a 10 out of 10 self-image is, number one, you don't say no when you actually want to say no, but simply because you believe that when you say no, you will lose that person or that person will not like you. Number two, you don't show up to the tasks that you set out. You procrastinate. That messes up with your self-respect. You don't believe that you will figure things out along the way, that you don't believe that you are capable of overcoming your fear. And that's where you also lose your self-respect and your self-confidence, because there's nothing else, there's nothing to back up your claim of being a confident man. The reason why you struggle with approaching women or keeping high quality women around is because you've never had them in your life before. That's why you get nervous when you finally meet them. You have a great job, you have the career, you have the money, you have the car, but you don't have the woman, because women are the ultimate final boss. They reveal your deepest insecurities, not the car, not the business. But you don't show up as a man, and you don't show up, you don't approach women in a coffee shop, you don't set boundaries in a relationship because you're afraid that you'll lose her. Now, if you struggle with all this, that means that you have a low self-image, especially in dating, because I've coached so many men who are like 10 out of 10 confident in business, but when they meet a woman, bro, they collapse. And it's because they haven't worked on their inner game. They haven't worked on their true self-image. They have childhood wounds from the past. They had an absent father. They had a mother that was overly controlling, overbearing, or maybe they had a father, but he was extremely weak. Maybe you had this kind of father. He never told you that he loves you, that he never was around actually, like emotionally. He never told you that you're a great guy, that you're not good enough, that you never were enough, and now you feel unlovable, and that all reflects back or resembles back in your relationships with women, man. Don't work on these self-image issues. Those issues in the inner game will filter over, will spill over into your outer game. That's why you are struggling to flirt or tease. That's why you struggle to set a boundary in a relationship, because you believe that this is wrong, because you seek her approval too much. You depend on her, you need her, and that's why she loses attraction. Do you see how it all comes back together, how it clicks? When you have a poor self-image, you say things on a date like, hey, you're so pretty, or I like you so much, instead of saying, hey, I'm not sure I really like it. With a smirk, you know, you tease her. Or you're like, oh, you already, instead of qualifying her, you qualify yourself. You're too afraid to say the wrong things. That's why you don't deploy a cold read. That's why you don't make assumptions about her. So that's why you say, hey, what do you do for work? Because that's a safer option, instead of saying or asking, hey, you look like a little bit of a finance nerd. Are you the sexy nerd or what? In the context, if she works in finance, like if you get the vibe that she's working in finance, then just say this. Let's redo this. That's why you don't deploy cold read in order to find out what kind of person she is. So instead of asking her the boring, safe question, what do you do for work? Do you work in finance? That's boring. That's so predictable. Everyone asks the same question, but you could use the cold read that makes an assumption about what she does for work. So most of the girls that I went on dates with, they had similar outfits, you know, because they all worked in a similar industry, management, consulting, banking, investment banker, head of marketing, yada yada yada. So because of that, I could just make an intuition, like because they had a specific business outfit or like quite an elegant outfit on the date, I just made an assumption, a cold read about what she could be potentially doing. So instead of asking her for like, hey, what do you do for work? I said, hey, you give me a bit of a finance vibe. I don't know, you like some sexy nerd or what? It's a bit outrageous to say this, and it's like, but that's what true non-neediness is. I am not afraid of her reaction. Maybe she dislikes it, but it's risky. But women love men who take risks. Do you see where I'm going with all this? Women want men that are non-needy, who don't need them, because these men are like showing up as their true authentic self. They don't care so much about what she thinks about him. They value their own opinion about themselves more than what she thinks about him. And that's fucking sexy.